The FIA just dropped a bombshell for 2026. Massive rule changes are coming, and teams that don't comply could face brutal penalties. This isn't a minor tweak. Every car, every engine, and every aerodynamic part must follow these new regulations, or risk losing championship points before the season even begins. We're talking revolutionary engine formats, active aero systems, reduced weight limits, and a complete redesign of car aerodynamics. The FIA is changing everything, and subscribe now, because every top team will be scrambling to adapt, and you don't want to miss a single second of this 2026 F1 drama as it unfolds. The FIA's 2026 rule changes represent the most significant overhaul in Formula One in decades, affecting chassis, aerodynamics, power units, and safety regulations simultaneously. Teams are required to completely rethink car design philosophies, from the ground up, to comply with new restrictions and unlock the full potential of the regulations. Even established teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull are facing a fresh challenge, as previous designs and aerodynamic concepts may no longer be viable under the new rules. Chassis regulations have been tightened dramatically. Overall car dimensions are reduced, including narrower wheelbases and shorter lengths, which forces engineers to rethink weight distribution and vehicle balance. Floor surfaces and diffuser areas have been adjusted to limit aerodynamic exploitation, requiring teams to innovate in smaller, more precise aero packages that maximize downforce without exceeding the new limits. Tire regulations have also been revamped, with narrower front and rear tires now in play. Pirelli's new tire specs are intended to reduce overall mechanical grip while demanding more sophisticated suspension setups. Teams must now extract performance from smaller contact patches, increasing the importance of mechanical setup and tire management throughout races. Aerodynamic rules introduce active systems for the first time, replacing traditional DRS with X mode and Z mode functionalities. These systems dynamically adjust airflow for either low drag on straights or increased downforce in corners, fundamentally changing overtaking and defense strategies. The FIA mandates strict compliance with these systems, and penalties for violations are expected to be severe. Power unit regulations undergo a radical transformation as well. The hybrid systems are now split roughly 50-50 between ICE and electric power, with the MGUK tripled in output and the MGUH eliminated. These changes force teams to innovate in energy management, engine mapping, and thermal efficiency, with penalties for exceeding limits or failing compliance checks looming large. Safety measures have not been overlooked despite the technical upheaval. The FIA requires reinforced crash structures, updated roll hoop specifications, and enhanced intrusion panels to protect drivers in the event of high-speed impacts. Even with the push for lighter, faster cars, these regulations ensure that driver protection remains paramount, and non-compliance could result in severe sanctions. Finally, the combination of aerodynamic, mechanical, and power unit overhauls ensures that no team can rely on past designs. The 2026 regulations will test engineering creativity, strategic planning, and compliance rigor more than any previous season. The FIA has made it clear, failure to fully comply will not only incur penalties but could also cost teams crucial championship points, setting the stage for a highly competitive and closely monitored season. The FIA's 2026 regulations are backed by a wealth of technical data that teams must analyze to remain compliant. Every element of the car, from the chassis to the power unit, is measured against new dimensional and performance limits. Telemetry, wind tunnel simulations, and computational fluid dynamics (CFD) models are now mandatory tools for teams to ensure their designs meet the precise standards set by the FIA. Aerodynamic adjustments are a critical focus. With narrower floors, smaller diffusers, and active aero systems like X mode and Z mode, engineers must rely on high-fidelity CFD simulations and real-world wind tunnel testing to maximize downforce while minimizing drag. Any miscalculation could lead to non-compliance, resulting in severe penalties and potential points deductions. Power units are now subjected to stricter energy management and hybrid system limits. The new 50-50 split between ICE and electric output, along with the elimination of the MGUH, forces teams to precisely monitor battery usage, thermal performance, and power delivery. Raw data from dyno tests, energy deployment logs, and hybrid system monitoring is analyzed to ensure teams don't exceed regulatory thresholds. Weight distribution and structural integrity are also under intense scrutiny. Lightweight components, reduced chassis dimensions, and heavier batteries mean that engineers must model every kilogram's effect on handling and compliance. Structural simulations using FIA, finite element analysis, are now essential to verify that cars meet safety regulations while maintaining competitive performance. Tire performance data is another critical factor. Pirelli's new narrower tires require teams to collect extensive mechanical grip data, suspension load analysis, and tire degradation models. Track testing, combined with telemetry from previous races, helps engineers understand how the car behaves under dynamic conditions and whether it adheres to FIA limits. Environmental and race condition data further informs compliance checks. Temperature, humidity, and track surface characteristics all affect car behavior. Teams must analyze telemetry under a range of environmental scenarios to ensure that cars remain within the prescribed aerodynamic, mechanical, and energy parameters, even under extreme conditions. Finally, integration of all these data streams ensures that teams can both optimize performance and avoid penalties. Telemetry, CFD, FIA, tire analysis, and hybrid system monitoring form a complete compliance ecosystem. The FIA has made it abundantly clear: failure to comply with these 2026 rules will result in heavy sanctions, making precise data analysis not just a technical exercise, but a championship-critical task for every team on the grid. The FIA's 2026 rule changes have sent shockwaves through the F1 paddock, forcing teams to completely reassess their development strategies. Established teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull are under immense pressure to redesign chassis and aerodynamics to comply with the new regulations. Even minor errors in interpretation could result in heavy sanctions, making every design decision critical for championship hopes. Teams now face a strategic dilemma: innovate aggressively to exploit the new rules or play it safe to avoid penalties. Pushing the limits could provide a competitive edge on track, but non-compliance carries severe repercussions, including point deductions, fines, or race disqualifications. This balancing act will define which teams can effectively navigate the new regulatory landscape. Smaller teams and new entrants may find opportunities to close the gap with traditional powerhouses. With the FIA enforcing strict compliance checks, no team can rely solely on past designs or existing knowledge. Innovative approaches to aerodynamics, weight distribution, and power unit efficiency could allow underdog teams to gain an unexpected advantage if executed perfectly. Red Bull, for example, has already indicated plans to aggressively test the new active aero systems and energy management strategies. Verstappen's championship defense could be significantly influenced if Red Bull can capitalize on these systems within the strict limits set by the FIA. Failure to comply, however, could instantly negate any on-track advantage, highlighting the razor-thin margin between success and sanction. The FIA's inspections will now be more rigorous than ever. Pre-race and post-race checks will examine every critical component, from chassis dimensions to hybrid energy deployment. Teams must maintain complete transparency and rigorous internal monitoring, as even minor deviations from the regulations could result in public penalties and media scrutiny, further raising the stakes. From a championship perspective, the 2026 regulations introduce a new layer of unpredictability. Point standings may be influenced not only by on-track performance but also by technical compliance. Drivers, engineers, and strategists must all work in harmony to ensure that every aspect of the car and race strategy adheres to FIA rules, emphasizing the interplay between engineering precision and competitive results. Finally, the dramatic implications of these rule changes extend beyond a single season. They signal a shift in Formula One's approach to technical oversight, emphasizing strict compliance and innovation under constraint. Teams that successfully navigate this new environment will set a benchmark for future development, while those that fail may face long-term consequences, fundamentally reshaping the competitive hierarchy in Formula One. The FIA's 2026 rule changes are a game-changer for Formula One, demanding that teams rethink everything from chassis design to hybrid power unit strategies. These regulations are not optional, compliance is mandatory, and penalties for infractions will be severe. Every team on the grid must adapt, innovate, and meticulously check every detail of their cars before the new season begins. For teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, the changes represent both an opportunity and a challenge. Aggressive interpretation and innovation within the rules could yield a performance edge, but even minor oversights could result in point deductions or disqualification. The FIA has made it clear: the 2026 season will reward precision and punish errors mercilessly. Smaller teams and new entrants may find themselves with unique opportunities. With strict regulations and high compliance requirements, traditional advantages may be neutralized, allowing innovative engineering solutions to level the playing field. Teams that successfully navigate the technical requirements could unexpectedly rise through the standings, creating a more unpredictable championship battle. The active aero systems, energy management requirements, and dimensional restrictions force teams to rethink race strategy entirely. Engineers must now calculate every decision from both a performance and compliance perspective. One misstep in testing or implementation could cost not only lap time but also vital championship points, highlighting the interdependence of engineering and competitive success. Safety remains a central concern despite the aggressive technical evolution. Reinforced crash structures, updated roll hoops, and strict intrusion panel standards ensure that lighter, faster cars do not compromise driver protection. Compliance with these safety standards is non-negotiable, and FIA inspections will be rigorous to ensure these rules are adhered to across all teams. For fans and spectators, these rule changes introduce unprecedented drama. The championship will now be influenced not just by on-track performance but also by technical compliance and strategic ingenuity. Every weekend could see controversies, innovations, and penalties, ensuring that the 2026 season will be one of the most closely watched and unpredictable in modern F1 history. Finally, the overarching message is clear: in 2026, Formula One teams must combine engineering excellence, regulatory precision, and strategic acumen to succeed. The FIA's Bombshell rule changes ensure that only the most prepared, meticulous, and innovative teams will thrive, while mistakes carry heavy consequences. Subscribe now to stay ahead of every development, every penalty, and every strategic shift as F1 enters this bold new era.